Gentlemen, it's once again a pleasure to be here at the spring conference of the Flag Institute. I have to say though, I'm not a Privy Councillor.
Oh right.
Right Honourable, you have to be a Privy Councillor.
Really?
We do have a Privy Councillor here who's speaking next. But anyway, it's wonderful to be here, and I would like to begin by paying tribute to the Flag Institute, particularly to Captain Malcolm Farrow. It's Malcolm and the Flag Institute that have played such a significant part in inspiring the idea that we in Parliament should have our own group, our own committee that deals with the issues surrounding flags and heraldry. When I first became a Member of Parliament, the first thing I complained about was the fact that for most of the year the flag of our country was not flown from the Parliament of the United Kingdom, only when the House of Commons, the House of Lords was in session. And so every weekend, every bank holiday, every recess, every evening, tourists and visitors to London would be staring at an empty flagpole. Well, Mr. Chairman, I can tell you that never again will you see an image of the British Parliament without a Union flag flying on Victoria Tower. We now have the flag flying permanently, and that was marked this year by an event hosted by the Lord Speaker in the House of Lords to mark the official recognition that the flag of our United Kingdom should fly from the UK Parliament 365 days of the year. And I thank the Flag Institute, Malcolm Farrow, Charles Graham, and everybody that played a part in bringing that success about. There is, I believe, an importance, a great importance, which isn't always highlighted as it should be, in the sense that the flags and identities of the United Kingdom and the individual countries within the UK are not given the prominence and the recognition they deserve. We have a muddle in this country. Nobody knows when the flag should be flown, nobody knows the correct dimensions, even the colours seem to change. Unlike other countries like Australia and New Zealand that have a Flag Act where all these things are clearly laid down, where booklets are published, given to every school child, where the national symbols are shown, and not only the flags but the coats of arms, the national emblems, the flowers of the countries, all these are published in booklets produced by the Australian government and the New Zealand government. But in the UK we have nobody that has overall oversight of these things. We don't teach them in our schools. We don't even get it right in government, and that's why there's been such a muddle. Sometimes with the flags flying, sometimes not. We have trooping the colour, where we fly flags of republics, despite the fact that we are celebrating the Queen's birthday, yet our territories are ignored. So if you come to trooping the colour this year, you will see the flag of Mozambique, which has never been under the crown, but you will not see the flag of the Falkland Islands. Now, where is the sense in that? There is no clear rules about when flags should be flown. It's all a muddle. Local government, some town halls, some civic offices fly it every day, others do not. Some will fly the Cross of St George in England as well as the Union flag, others choose not to. There is no consistency to any of it. And so there does need to be, I believe, an Act of Parliament, which I think would be a very simple and straightforward Act of Parliament based on that enacted by the Parliaments of New Zealand and Australia, where you have a clearly defined outline of the flag, when it should be flown, the dimensions, the colours, and all the different issues surrounding it, so that the muddle that we've got at the moment can be removed, and we have a clear idea of where we stand. But we should also ensure that flying the flag is promoted as a good thing, that it is a symbol of national unity, despite the divisions that may exist in some parts of the United Kingdom. We have lots of different identities. We can be English and British, we can be Scottish and British, we can be Gibraltarian and British, we can be all sorts of identities under the belief of having that British identity as well. And that's why all the various British identities should, I believe, except the Union flag. And even if, in the unlikely event, that Scotland were to decide to go independent and become separate from the United Kingdom, the Union flag, I do not believe, needs to change. The Union flag, or the Union Jack, both terms, I believe, are correct. The Union flag, or the Union Jack, is not simply the flag of the United Kingdom. It is, in fact, I believe, the flag of all British people around the world. I believe the Union Jack can be the flag of British communities everywhere, not only in the British Isles, not only in England, Scotland, Northern Ireland and Wales, but in our Crown dependencies, Jersey, Guernsey, the Isle of Man, Alderney and Sark, and the 16 overseas territories. It's their flag as well, but it's not only their flag, it's also the flag of British communities in other parts of the world, in our realms. Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and many other countries around the world still use the Union flag. They still sing God Save the Queen, and they still have that affinity to Britain. Doesn't mean they're part of the United Kingdom, but the flag itself is a British symbol, and that doesn't necessarily forever have to be linked to its nation state. It is linked to the United Kingdom, but it can also be just as easily owned by British communities around the world. So why shouldn't British communities in Australia still uphold the Union flag as the flag of the family of British peoples? And so the Union flag should always remain as it is and should not have the Scottish Saltire removed from it, even if Scotland ultimately chose that decision. Equally so with the Cross of St Patrick representing Ireland. The Union flag, the Union Jack, is the flag of all British people, wherever they are in the world and whatever background they come from. It is cherished. It is cherished everywhere in the world, and it is a symbol not only of Britishness, but a symbol of decency, of just approach to governing countries and territories. It's seen as a flag of freedom, a flag that is trusted by people around the world. It's loved, and Professor Grew has written a magnificent book, The Union Jack, and he's spoken earlier on, and he has described how the Union flag is not some ancient symbol which can be discarded at some point, but it's a modern symbol that people of all ages and of all colours and of all backgrounds actually believe belongs to them as well. And so it is, I believe, a proud emblem of all things British, all things that have made the family of British people around the world be proud of what we have achieved over so many centuries. It isn't just about the monarchy, although the monarchy is central to all of this. It isn't just about the empire. It isn't even about the United Kingdom alone. It is about the British people, whether they live in these islands or whether they live elsewhere. It is a flag that we can all truly be proud to fly with pride. There is, of course, a number of issues, political issues, that we in Parliament have to address. The issue has been discussed already about Scotland, about the United Kingdom, and where that will lead. We also have the issue of our traditional counties in this country, and that's another issue that the Flags and Heraldry Committee are looking at, the importance of county flags. And I know that many of you here will be representing different parts of the UK and are probably promoting the idea of your own county flag. Well, that's something that I also believe we should promote and uphold. Every county should have its own flag. And why stop at counties? I know the Flag Institute is promoting the idea of each town having its own flag. Well, one of the things that I did when I first became a Member of Parliament, my first year as an MP, I went through the history books in Parliament, and I found the traditional town crest of my constituency, which is Romford. Of course, with the creation of the London boroughs, the town crests were put in the bin. You know, the London boroughs don't like the traditional identities of the individual towns because they don't fit with the political constructions or the administrative construction of the London boroughs. And so the traditional town crests were no longer used, so we have borough logos, which frankly don't match the traditional crests of our individual towns and villages within London. And so the first thing I did was to find the traditional crest of Romford and have that restored and have that turned into a badge for children to have at school and to promote the heritage of Romford as opposed to the London Borough of Havering, which is an artificial creation. And it has taken off. Everybody's proud to wear the badge that I had produced, of the town crest. Nobody particularly wants to wear the logo of the London Borough of Havering because it has no particular identity, it has no particular history amongst local people, but they are proud of being from Romford or from Hornchurch or from Upminster. Those are traditional towns. And so why don't we go back to using traditional town crests, traditional county flags, and also turn the town crests into flags of our individual towns? And that's something that I'm hoping to do next year to coincide with the Diamond Jubilee. I want to launch the idea that we should restore a flag for Romford. I hope that other members of Parliament would take that idea up as well. Why shouldn't each town have its own local town flag? But the point I want to make very strongly, ladies and gentlemen, is that governments have this bad habit of creating artificial identities, whether it's the European Union, whether it's London boroughs, whether it's regional councils or counties even that are artificially altered in order to fit what governments think should happen, to fit in with the administrative boundaries that they are pursuing. I think that we have to move away from that and go back to the traditional identities of these islands, the villages, the hamlets, the towns, the communities and the counties that really make up the British Isles, and all of them have their own special identities. You can go from one town to another and know that you've crossed over into a different town. There's always that difference when you cross over from one area to another. And however many local government boundaries are constructed, that doesn't undermine people's natural affinity to where they originate from, to their hometowns. And we can all tell, everyone in this room can probably demonstrate and explain where they live and the identity of their particular town or village. And we have to get back to those boundaries and look at the true identities that have made up our country, and that's reflected in symbolism of our town crests and our flags. And so whether we're talking about national identity, county identity, or even town and village identity, a flag has a central role to play. And one of the things that I also think we need to promote is the idea that schools should fly the flag outside of their school, and every day a different pupil should be given the honour of raising the flag when the school opens in the morning. And I believe that instilling that understanding of identity in young people is very, very important. It's very important for national unity. In an era where we have such a diverse country of people from all kinds of backgrounds living in our country, the one thing that should unite everybody, regardless of background or religion or where we come from or whatever it might be, the one thing that should unite everybody is the British identity. Americans are very good at this. They have an American identity which seems to override divisions. You go to Australia and New Zealand or Canada, have the same situation there, but in Britain we've had many years of political correctness and a multicultural attitude which I think has undermined the idea that actually we should have one British identity. Of course we respect and uphold individual identities under that British identity, but the one thing that we should be first and foremost is identifying with the Britishness that we all share. And if we can promote that in schools, if we can promote that in Parliament, if we can promote that in government, then we're halfway to achieving what we want to achieve, which is a united kingdom, but more importantly, a united family of British people, whoever they are, wherever they live, and whatever their original identities. Being British is a badge of honour. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much indeed.